Will Wi-Fi Ruin Mount Everest? By Jeff Greenwald, Salon.com, November 16th, 2010. Broadband arrives on the world's tallest mountain, but having hiked it, I worry the magic will vanish. When I began my career as a travel journalist in the 1980s, there was lots of talk about remoteness. This is what many travelers were looking for. Places so hard to get to and so different from the world, we knew that their existence seemed almost miraculous. Today, the value has shifted. What we look for now is connectedness, the opportunity to check our email, upload video clips, and chat on Skype. Even if we happen to be on the Kambu icefall, 18,000 feet high in the Nepal Himalaya. Last week, a network of 8 3G base stations began operating along the route to Mount Everest in Sagarmatha National Park. They were installed by the Nacelle, a Nepali telecom firm. The news didn't surprise me, but I felt that, irreversibly, another blow had been struck against magic. Paragraph 4. Access to the internet is starting to seem like a human right, so let me offer a disclaimer. There is no rational downside to the arrival of broadband on the flanks of Everest. I'm not a Luddite and would never suggest that developing nations should be denied, for any reason, the global access that technology can provide. This 3G network will undoubtedly save lives, not only by providing weather information and support to Everest climbers and trekkers, but as an alert system for the nearby villages threatened by flash floods from glacial lake overflow, another peril caused by global warming. It's a good thing. So why did the news make me feel like Robert Conway in Lost Horizon, looking back on a land to which I can never return? During my earliest visit to Nepal in 1979, phoning home even from Kathmandu was an adventure. I'd bike to the telecommunications office at 2 a.m., mid-afternoon in New York, fill out a form, and wait hours for my trunk call to go through. The costly result was often a busy signal or a barely audible connection. The most reliable means of communication was snail mail, a metaphor that, with 3 weeks of lag time between a letter and its response, seemed literally true. Paragraph 7. Even this much contact was a marvel. Compared to the situation in the mountains when I first trekked the Everest route in October of 1983, it felt as though I had entered a world completely detached from the familiar. After a harrowing fight to the tiny airstrip at Lukala, the 10-day hike to base camp, which an elevation gain of more than 80,000 vertical feet, began. Immersion in the Sherpa Buddhist lifestyle was inescapable and transformative. Phone calls were impossible. Even writing a postcard was like putting a message in a bottle and tossing it out to sea. I'm going to read that graphic to the right. Technology's tall order. A woman uses a laptop in Mount Everest National Park, Nepal. This national park is the highest in the world, with an entire park located above 3,000 meters, 9,700 feet. The park includes 3 peaks higher than 80,000 meters, including Mount Everest. Paragraph 8. None of this seemed like an inconvenience, though there were bouts of homesickness and the occasional longing for new music and old friends. It was exhilarating to have entered such an isolated realm. This actually was the point. Travelers embarked on our journey to Everest or the Annapurnas, aware that it would be a full-body experience, an equation that included our brains. As a result, trekking the Himalaya never felt like sightseeing. It was a commitment to be here and now demanding full-time engagement with Nepalis and fellow travelers. There were infinite opportunities to forge new friendships, experience Sherpa Buddhist culture, or enjoy exquisite solitude. By day, you could walk alone or with companions. At night, the lodges flickered with candles and butter lamps. Out came the maps, backgammon sets, and tattered journals. Tales of avalanches and Yeti sightings were shared, along with cups of dazzling local rakashi. During my most recent trek to the Everest region in 2008, it was clear that the area was changing. Though the mountains looked the same, they felt less like a world apart. For one thing, it was a lot more crowded. An estimated 15,000 trekkers shared the narrow trails. Cell phones were already in use between the main villages, and the isolating aspects of technology were taking hold. Sherpa guides and signy porters marched up the steep mountain grades with telltale white headphone cords snaking beneath their parka collars, lost in private soundtracks of their MP3 files. Paragraph 11. Getting online was a different story. There were only a handful of cyber cafes along the trekking route, the highest of which was at the Everest Base Camp itself at 17,500 feet, with internet access via satellite. Connections were sluggish. It often took Gmail more than 5 minutes to load. Sitting in a cozy inn immersed in conversation was far more seductive than surfing the web. The arrival of 3G will change all of that, and not just how quickly trekkers can upload their photos, keep tabs on their investments, or stream the latest episode. Wireless broadband, barely imaginable even 25 years ago, will change the way future travelers and locals interact in the world's highest mountains. For the shepherds of Sagaroth Martha, of course, it may well seem that one kind of magic has simply been traded for another. Broadband on Everest? What's next? If the Yeti buys an iPad, he might even decide to friend Bigfoot on Facebook. For the rest of us, this constant connectedness may have a bittersweet aftertaste. My recent trek into the Himalaya was a reminder of the pleasures of remoteness. It was a joy to escape from the hamster wheel of distractions and immerse myself in the expanded moment of real time. Because being connected, really connected, with the place you're in and the people you're with requires disconnecting, at least temporarily, from everywhere else. We are far past the time when we can connect to find a Shangri-La, one anywhere, beyond the reach of the internet. But as the world races towards connectivity, travelers might stop to consider why we travel in the first place and which connections we really want to make.